Director's take: empowering tanks in mid-season. Hey everyone, I'm glad to see you all digging into Season 10. We've loved seeing you welcome our newest hero adventure and enjoy the Mirror Watch event, playable now in the arcade, which, by the way, if you haven't played this, actually super cool. Some of it feels like it's from like the probably scrapped PvE stuff. So if you have not played this, play it before it goes. It's actually one of the better Overwatch events. However, this week I want to look ahead to our mid-season update and discuss some changes that we have on the way for the tank role. In Overwatch 2, tanks are the imposing heroes who take the brunt of the fights while enabling their teammates to secure eliminations. While tanks are a big target for opponents to focus on, many team comps aim to burst down a tank's HP quickly, or they get moved around a ton from displacement abilities. We've received feedback that tanks can either feel like they get taken down too quickly in a fight, or that they're impossible to take down. What does that sound like? So, our mid-season update is going to help balance how many hits tanks can take to stay in the fight better. First, we're specifically buffing the tank passive to have a 25% damage reduction from headshots. You want to know why I immediately put the stream title with this? It's because I saw this. I've read the whole paragraph, so let's finish it. Which should help cut down on being burst down in a fight. We're also increasing the knockback resistance from tanks from 30 to 50%. Some of y'all are too young. You don't know what 50% knockback feels like. There was a time in Overwatch where Ryan was king for about 2 months. And when Ryan was king, he had 3 things. He had 525 health and armor, which was more than the normal 500 in Overwatch 1. The swings did it more damage, 85 damage. And he had a knockback resistance of 50%. You did not move if you got booped by a Lucio. Now, Lucio boop is stronger now since then. So it probably will not feel... It'll probably still be strong, but like different. But my goodness, I don't think you guys understand how big 50% is. It's actually kind of nuts. Which should allow them to hold the front line a lot more and not feel subjugated to displacement abilities. That alone, if I didn't even read any further in this alone is insane. We're also making some global gameplay. Okay, so now we're in the part I haven't read yet. We're also making some global gameplay changes that impact tanks. One is that we're reverting the armor damage reduction back to reducing 5 damage per projectile with up to a 50% maximum. Wait, what? One is we're reverting the armor damage reduction back to 5 damage per projectile with up to 50% maximum. Isn't Overwatch 2 armor stronger though than Overwatch 1 armor? Am I crazy? Isn't old armor weaker than Overwatch 2? This means heroes like Reaper and Tracer will have more work to do to take down heroes like Reinhardt. Heroes with high burst damage per projectile will still be effective, but these kinds of tanks have better means to counterplay that type of damage. Okay, I guess I'll keep reading. Next, we make a light change. Okay, what? We need to talk about this. Next, we made a light change to our overall HP recovery passive, which will enable mobile tanks to get back to the front line faster. The health regenerative passive for all heroes will no longer be 20 HP per second out of combat, but instead recover 10 health plus 5% of their maximum HP per second. This means a hero like Reinhardt will recover their health at 45 health per second in a role queue match. That is useful. Not a ton, but useful, because Ball, Diva, Winston, sort of Doom, not really Doom as much, would probably really be impacted by that, but Rhine, you won't be able to as much, but the difference is like at the current moment, if your supports die and you win the fight and you're like very low HP, if your supports are coming back, as the fight starts, you're typically like half or like 3/4 HP. Like the healing passive doesn't get you all the way to full. That would get you back to full. So that is big. But hey, you guys told me to read ahead. Chat, I am pretty confident that Overwatch 2 armor is stronger than Overwatch 1 armor. Like, this is good against pellets, right? Like, this means that like Tracer struggled really, really hard against Brig because armor in Overwatch 1 made it so that like you did borderline no damage. Armor reduces all damage by 30% currently. Yeah, so this just means pellet heroes like Diva, Tracer, Reaper are gonna struggle more against armored tanks. But for everything else, like for Widow, for example, like not counting the 30 to 50%, or sorry, the 25% reduction to headshot thing, if you got headshot by a full charge Widow, you would take 295 damage instead of 300, right? If you had armor. So, but the 30% though, you take what? Like, what is it, like 260 or some shit like that? In that range? So yeah, you take like significantly more from burst, but you're also getting less headshot damage. So that actually might be okay. But also actually, what it also has a good effect on is heroes like Bastion, Torb, and Brig. It actually makes them more tanky versus heroes like Tracer. That's actually very interesting. Okay. Altogether, these changes should have an impact on some of the pain points our tank players are experiencing, as well as the balance of the game. I have a feeling we'll see a lot of movement in the meta over the remainder of Season 10. In some more individual changes, Junker Queen is getting a buffed commanding shout, which will be activated even if you are channeling other abilities like Carnage or Rampage. Oh, that's so good! I can't tell you how many times I've been almost full HP, and I go for the Carnage, and then my health bar goes down, and I'm trying to pop shout at the same time, and I can't do it. And its cooldown is getting reduced to 12 seconds. Whoa, those are some big queen buffs. This change should allow her to be more engaged in intense fights where you need to charge in more quickly. That is crazy. With Wrecking Ball, we're seeing some creative play with the changes to his grappler claw. However, his ability to contribute to the fight is getting a small buff. The impact damage from a full charge swing using grappling claw is increased from 50 to 60. Whoa. Pile driver is increasing the enemy movement lockout from 0.5 to 0.75. Whoa. And finally, Minefield will be a little bit more threatening with explosion damage increase from 130 to 165 and a knockback increase from 5. Oh my goodness, ball players are going to be eaten. Oh my Jesus Christ. Wait, hang on. 50% knockback resistance and pretty big ball buffs? Oh my goodness. Oh Jesus. You know what, dude? Hey, nobody came to our rescue when things were doing well. I'm not even going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to let it happen. I'm not even going to warn you. I'm going to give them time. Let the ball players have their time in the sun. Additional changes come this mid-season, including some light buffs for Junkrat, Echo, and Hanzo. Echo is interesting. I don't think Echo needs any, but Junkrat and Hanzo do. But we'll reveal those when you jump and take these changes for a test drive. I see what you did there. With the mid-season patch arrives on May 14th. That's all for this week, everyone. Thanks for reading, and let's make a great game. So, this is probably the most significant tank changes we've seen since Overwatch 2 released. And it's not even close. This is actually insane. 30 to 50% and 25% reduction on headshots. That means, like, you ever played against like double sniper, right? Or Sojourn Widow on like Junkertown, and you peek the corner and your health bar just disappears. That shouldn't really happen as much anymore. That's incredible. That's awesome. I actually can't believe it. And the Queen buffs. Queen struggles against Cass a lot because you can just sit there and just headshot her on cooldown. But if you're taking 25% less damage per shot against a character like Queen with a buffed shout that can run at you faster, dude, I have this weird feeling that like 5 tanks are going to be really strong. I have a feeling like Ryan's gonna be strong, Ball's gonna be strong, Queen's gonna be strong, Winston will probably be strong. I don't know if Malga would be still strong with that, actually. I have to think about it. Ram? Nah. Ram doesn't really get headshot that often. And honestly, Ram doesn't get CC'd very hard, like, away from enemies. It's more of, like, anti-sleep type of deal. Zarya actually, yeah, Zarya's a good point. If you play against, like, a good Widow and you play Zarya, you just instantly fall over. You won't fall over as much. Zarya will be a lot better. That's actually a good point. Malga will be affected by the armor change, isn't he? Yeah, but I think if anything for Malga, it's probably a net nerf. Because one, his guns are going to be doing less damage because like he does so little. It's like 4 damage per shot. It's the same thing. It's like close to Tracers, so he's going to be tickling you in the armor. And on top of that too, the armor change, I believe, is weaker. Like, armor overall is going to be weaker versus burst damage, which means that even though you can headshot Malga and take less damage for it, it's not going to be chunking through it the same. Like, you're not going to be like taking as much of a like hit, like a lesser hit as normal. You know what I mean? But the 25% reduction passive is a totally different story there. You know, because like then I think of like right click Randy. You know what I mean? Does that mean less knockback for Hoggle too? Yes. So if you're a tank getting knocked back by Hoggle, you're gonna get smoked. Yes, that is exactly what that means actually. So that actually is kind of a buff to Hoggle versus tanks, unironically, because you legitimately can't fly away faster. So kind of weird. Hog gets a buff out of this. Ryan's getting a buff out of this. Diva's the only one I think that's not getting a buff out of it. If anything is a nerf, Ryan's getting a buff. Zarya's getting a buff out of it. Queen's getting a buff out of it. Ball's getting a buff out of it. Who else have I not mentioned? Malga's probably not getting a buff out of it. I think if anything, Malga might be getting a nerf. Orisa. Wait, you know what this actually probably does? I wonder if this opens up the opportunity to get rid of headshot immunity on Fortify. Just saying, because if it's stacked, like if it stacks, that would be kind of nuts, you know? I don't know. I'm excited for these though. What's in 2 weeks? Fuck, dude, that's a long way away. But at least it's nice to see that there's some hope on the horizon potentially. But yeah, this is. I can't help but feel happy that our pleas have finally been answered though in some fashion. I don't know obviously if it's gonna solve everything, if it's gonna fix everything. I think if anything, the chances of tank just becoming the absolute dominant, running over everybody is actually probably a real possibility. But you know what? It's our turn. Mom said it's our turn to have fun. So yeah, I'm for it. So cool. There's actually hope on the horizon. Can't believe that.